Welcome back. Next, we're going to focus on styling the jokes, and we're going to start by doing some flexbox stuff, trying to make it look like this, where we have the buttons over here taking up a good amount of space, and then the bulk of the joke, and then we'll come back and add the emoji later on. So let's begin. Go to our joke list CSS, just to refresh your memory, joke CSS, which doesn't exist yet. Getting ahead of myself. But to refresh your memory, we have our joke class, joke buttons, and then joke text. And then the icons are font awesome, arrow up, and arrow down. So we'll call on those classes inside of our CSS file. So joke.css, and before we go any further, import ./joke.css. So now let's hop over to that file, and let's start by styling the individual joke. So I'm going to make it its own flexbox, and let's give it a border bottom, which is 2 pixels solid, my favorite color. One too many E's. There we go. And we should see that border. All right, we're getting somewhere. Next, we add in align item center and justify content center, which doesn't do all that much for us right now, but soon we're going to have these taking up more space. So this is fine. Also, I'm way zoomed in, aren't I? All right, there we go. Even worse. Then I'm going to add in some font weight. So font weight is going to be, I think I did 400. And then padding, 1 rem all the way around. Great, taking up more space now with that padding. So for the joke buttons container, which contains the 2 icons as well as the votes, I'm going to give it display of flex as well. And I'm going to align items center, justify content center, and we're going to give it a width. And I think I decided on 15%. Okay. And I also gave it a 1 rem margin on the right. So we'll come back to this and work on styling the inside of what the buttons look like in just a bit, but let's work on the text. So that's joke text, and that thing has a width of 75%. There we go. And then we'll change the font size to be 1.2 rems, and then I think that's it for now. Next, we're going to work on the circle there so that we have some color and that circular border, the box shadow, all that stuff. And I just realized we didn't actually give that a class name. So I'm going to do that now. Joke-votes. Okay, and it's just a span. That's good enough. Come back in here and select it. I'm going to give it a width of 50 pixels, a height of 50 pixels. I gave it a line height also of 50 pixels. And then a border radius of 50%. And then for now, I'm going to give it a border hard-coded at 3 pixels solid red, which is not what we're going to end up displaying, but there we are. There's a circle. We're going to do a text align center. Get that text in the middle. Great. We're also going to change the font size to be 20 pixels and the font weight to be 300. There we go. We're getting the votes in there in the middle. Lastly, we have our favorite box shadow. So just pasted it in. Once again, I used a generator for this, but it's the same shadow we've been using. And you can see we get that nice little effect underneath. Next up, let's select our font awesome icons. So font awesome arrow up, and then font awesome arrow down. So both of those, we're going to give them font size 1.5. and then a little bit of margin. I'm also going to give it cursor a pointer. Let's see how that's looking. Great, so the cursor changes. All right, and the next thing I'm going to add in is the emoji over here on the right. So again, not mandatory at all, but there is a nice library that we can use, which is called Emoji CSS. So here is the link that we need to include. And then for each emoji, it's just an icon, EM, and then some emoji. So if you search around, there's what is the one? Laughing? Quite a long class name. EM, rolling on the floor laughing. First, I'm going to copy this, move it into my index HTML, put that right there. So we now have access to those icons. Now I'm going to grab this rolling on the floor laughing. If I just click on it, it's copied to my clipboard. And if I go to the joke.js, after the joke text, I'm going to make another div, and I'm going to give this one a class name of joke-smiley. And then inside of that, I'm just going to paste my icon. And we should see some icons showing up. Okay, so they're over there. Next, we're going to make them larger, make them take up more space. So instead of joke CSS, I'm going to select that joke smiley, and I'm going to start with a font size of 3 rems and a margin left of auto. So it's in a flex box. If you give something margin left of auto, it will be pushed over all the way to the right. And then I also gave it a border radius of 50%, and then our same box shadow from above. And there we go. So as far as changing these colors and changing the emoji, I'm going to do that actually in a separate video. I just realized this is getting a little long. It's a lot of styling. So I'll make that a separate video on making these dynamic, which actual emoji is displayed and which color is shown here. That will be next.